Let's see how well Iris does in this lineup versus Kornak, the Chapter 14 boss.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
So quick disclaimer about this video and the stats that I'm going to show you at the end of the boss fights. At the time of recording this video, my Iris was only about 30,000 power level. Now, of course, she's not going to do anywhere near the damage of my 100,000 power level Kark. The point of this video is to showcase that her abilities do not work that well against bosses. It's not to show you how bad or how good her damage is, the actual damage output. The damage is there. It is what it is. The number will increase as I increase her power level. It's just I'm trying to showcase that none of her abilities work on bosses. What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero War Central, and in this video, I want to take Iris into the campaign and fight the Chapter 14 boss, Kornak. We're going to use this lineup. I just threw a couple of heroes together. I know that this team plus Zhu and Faceless was able to beat this campaign mission, but I thought I would try Iris out. Now, we all know that Iris is not great against bosses. She effectively only has 3 abilities, and 2 of those are area of effect attacks. Of course, her ultimate ability is the one that separates the main target's soul from their body. You can see here, I just did that with this lineup. All damage done to the separated soul is converted to pure damage, so it's a nice little campaign ability. You know, can't go wrong with it, I guess. Her green and blue ability are tied into Bitey. You can see this area of effect Bitey as he floats back to her. That's going to increase her next basic attack, which is a basic physical attack, and it doesn't increase it by a ton. And her violet ability is an area of effect pure damage attack that then is converted into a physical damage attack that's based on the number of enemy heroes whose health was absorbed. So her green, blue, and violet abilities really only come into play whenever there's more than one, and specifically when there's 3 to 5 enemies on the board. So here we are against Kornak. We're going to go ahead and try this ultimate just to show you that it does not work. Completely duds out. Her ultimate is basically worthless aside from adding the magic attack buff, which this team doesn't really need. We're going to go ahead and speed up Martha here, but what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to save her ultimate for whenever Kornak summons his little balls here. I don't know if it's going to work, but if we can time it right, we can blow that up before it blows us up. Let's see if it actually works on the spheres. I can't quite tell if it did or not. I don't think that it did, but that's okay. So Bitey only hits 1 target. Her area of effect, pure damage thing that she just did only hits 1 target, and it threw it at the little ball instead. Guess I should probably actually use these abilities. At this point, it's just really 4v1. I was hoping that Iris was going to do better against these little landmines that Kornak tossed out, but I mean, you can't even knock them up with Kark's ult, so this team is really not built to fight this enemy. Got about a minute left in the fight. There we go again with Bitey, the demon doggo, just not doing much. Let's see if this works again on the sphere. See, it doesn't work. It just does not work. All right, so minions, allies, whatever you want to call it, that are summoned by the boss cannot be affected by her ultimate. At this point, I gotta say that Iris is just really bad against boss fights. We are going to try her out against other bosses later on in the video, so stick around for that. Let's see if we can go ahead and finish Kornak off in the next 40 seconds. Let's try our best. All right, we were able to defeat Kornak with just a few seconds left in the fight. You can see there that Kark did the majority of the damage. Even though he was not able to knock up the enemy, his basic attacks did over 10 million damage across the 2 minutes. This is partially because of the boosted physical attack from Nebula. It's also because of the speed up ability of the Martha. The Mara that was patroned to Kark absolutely did nothing. And you can see that even though Iris did 2.8 million damage, there are several other damage dealers that would have been a much better choice. Obviously, Zhu is kind of the go-to boss killing damage dealer. You could have also used Ching Mao here. Orion would have been a great choice, potentially even Satori. In fact, having Iris might have even been detrimental to the team because her health is so much lower than everybody else. Kornak's little landmine bomb things that he spits out could have killed her pretty early on. Fortunately, I've got a very strong pair of healers in Nebula and Martha keeping her up. We were able to beat Kornak with no issue whatsoever. If you want to see how effective she is elsewhere, if you want to see how to build her and how she compares to other similar heroes, who she counters, who she's countered by, check out the video that's on screen now. It's kind of like my tier list discussion / comparison to Ching Mao video. So let's jump over into Outland. I believe that it's Vadjar the Incinerator that Iris can fight with. Yep, there she is. Okay, perfect. So we're going to drop Ching Mao out because Ching Mao dies almost instantly against this boss. I don't have her leveled up at all. We're going to, I'm not going to use Kark. I guess we can just use Galahad, do triple tank maybe? I don't know. This is probably going to be the best that we're going to do here. Let's switch this off for Albus, trying to get a little bit more damage in there. We have a lot of pure damage attackers here. Let's see how this works. Now, again, Iris has her handful of abilities that do area of effect damage, and they're more efficient based on the number of enemies on the field. With only one enemy on the field here, the main boss, I don't see it being too effective. You can see Bitey, the Demon Doggo, only hitting once, and thus her next basic attack was only boosted once. This little swirly skull thing is her Violet ability. It absorbed a little bit of damage in the form of pure damage, and then it hit for about 3,400 damage physical attacks. Whenever her ultimate pops up here, we're going to see if... let's just do this. Let's see if Iris's ult works on Vadjar. It absolutely does not. We didn't think that it would. Unfortunately, it does not work on bosses. I'm curious what other things that it doesn't work on. We already know that it doesn't work on bosses as well as the minions that the boss summons. I bet you that it doesn't work on the little tower things that Seymour does at the end of chapter 15. We can try that out next, actually. But I'm just going to do auto and speed up here. I don't think we're going to be able to beat it with this team, but we're going to give it our best shot. Iris, Nebula, Corvus. Let's see if, we might get close. We might, we might get it. Oh, nice. We beat it. 26 seconds left. Very nice, very nice. Again, you can see that Iris did do some damage. The second most damage out of everything probably has to do with the boosted attack that Nebula gave her. But there are much better boss-killing heroes, especially in the Vadjar lineup. Let's open up this chest and take a look at other options that we could have used instead. Now, we've mentioned a couple of times that Qing Mao is a solid boss fighter. I don't have a Qing Mao leveled up at all, so she just falls over in this fight. Elmir would have been a good choice. Rufus instead of Galahad was probably the better decision there. Rufus can block one of the meteor showers. Ishmael would have been a good attacking hero. So would have Yasmin. I don't think that Kark is ever the play against Vadjar, but, you know, he probably would have done more basic attack damage than Iris did. He probably would have done more damage than Iris did overall, even with just, just a little bit of damage that he does. Tristan probably was a good choice. Anvari's probably a decent choice. Astrid and Lucas is also probably a good choice. All of those are probably better options against Vadjar than Iris. So let's try one more fight. Let's try versus Seymour. Let's stick in our regular lineup here. We're going to go with Ju instead. So the play with this lineup is to use Ju's damage output with a sped up team copying, using Faceless to copy Martha to attack Seymour. And what I want to find out here, I'm assuming that Iris's abilities do not work on Seymour, and he might kill her instantly right out of the gate here. Again, Bitey's only hitting one thing at a time. The big question that I have is Iris going to be able to do effective damage against these towers? I want to see if Bitey hits. So Bitey is hit Seymour. Looks like Bitey only hit once, and then nice. Okay, so Bitey does hit the little totem things there. That's interesting. I'm curious about how the soul's going to work. It doesn't look like the soul did anything at all. We're going to get crushed right here. This is going to be a bad situation. So this is going to instant kill Ju. Unfortunately, I've already used Astaroth's revive. So what have we learned here? What have we learned? We've learned that Iris's ultimate does not work on any form of the Seymour fight. It doesn't work on the little rock towers. Doesn't work on Seymour himself. However, when these towers are up, Iris's green, blue, and violet abilities are capable of doing bonus damage. So that's a nice little thing. I just wasted that Faceless. There's no chance I'm going to win this fight at this point, so it doesn't really matter. One last thing that we're going to test after this, we're going to test her effectiveness against Osh. I already kind of got a feeling of how she's going to do against Osh, but let's try her out regardless. I'm feeling like if she could target the defensive spheres, if she could do something with Osh, then she might be the choice in like a Alvanor Orion Iris setup. But because she's going to be relegated to just basic attack damage with a little bit of boost with that Violet ability and her boosted single attack with Bitey there in the blue ability, I don't think that she's going to ever be the choice for Osh, or for that matter, any boss that they ever add to the game. Okay, so one last boss fight, and this is the boss fight that you all clicked on this video for. We're going to see how Iris does versus Osh. We're going to try to find out how her abilities interact with Osh and the defensive spheres and the nightmares if we can. The team that you have on screen here, Aurora, Alvanor, Judge, Orion, and Iris. This is by no means an optimized team. I have no idea what the optimized team for Iris would be. However, I know that Aurora and Alvanor are going to keep a lot of these other heroes alive. And the point that I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to see how the skills interact, not necessarily do a ton of damage. We have the Isaac, Ju, Nebula, Sebastian, Martha team to do a ton of damage, so don't need to worry about actually, clearing the boss or doing the 10 million damage, because I have that team for that. But let's see how this goes. I have been playing an auto whenever I fight the Osh boss, but whenever we're here, I'm gonna see if we can't notice anything. Just going to let the fight play out. The first time I notice an ability, we're going to see how it goes. There's Bitey. Bitey is... He is attacking the spheres, I think. I'm actually not sure. Okay, so Bitey just went again. Still a bunch of... I want to see if her absorb attack... I don't think that her absorb attack actually pulled damage from the spheres. I don't think that they did. We'll have to watch that back on replay. There's Bitey hitting one time. Now, Iris's ultimate doesn't do anything. In fact, it looks like he blocked it. Okay, let's keep boosting that attack. Let's see if we can get her to use her drain ability. There. Okay, so I don't think that she actually did use her drain ability there, but we're just gonna play this on auto. I know that that Iris's ultimate isn't affecting this spheres, and it's not affecting Osh either. So okay, so Iris's ultimate ability is completely ineffective against the Osh fights. I need to see again. I really want to see if Bitey is jumping around. So Bitey is bouncing around attacking the spheres, or it could be just him zigzagging a zigzag pattern. Okay, well there goes Bitey again. Let's see if he attacks the spheres up here. Well, they kind of disappeared anyway. All right, well, let's wrap the fight up. Now, again, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, this is a very low-level Iris, so it's not going to be very indicative of the kind of damage that she can do. The power level is 46,000 with Oliver patroned to her. 410k, it's not nothing. It's probably, you know, about on par with what a Kark or a Twins would do, although I think the Twins are actually okay against Osh. So to kind of wrap up this video, Iris's abilities, her 4 attacks that she has, the ultimate ability, Expose Soul, doesn't work on any of the bosses that we showcased today. Kornak, Seymour, Vadjar, or Osh. Bitey, the Vampire Frog, does seem to attack some of the minions summoned by bosses. He did not attack the explosive bombs that Kornak summons, but he did attack the rock formations on Seymour, and I honestly couldn't tell if he was attacking the defensive spheres during the Osh fight. Because the spheres are dancing around Osh so much, and, you know, Bitey's floating back, I can't tell really, you know, as I'm recording this live. And of course, the more things that Bitey attacks, the bigger her next basic attack is. Of course, this is going to matter. It's, you know, it's a physical damage attack. Unfortunately, you know, bosses have high armor, so it's not going to be a lot of damage, although it is some damage. And the Seed of Destruction, this is the one where she does pure damage to all the enemies on there, making her next physical attack that much more boosted. This ability did not target Kornak's bombs, and I don't believe it targeted Seymour's rock formations either. So all in all, while Iris is a fantastic hero in PvP, she is one of the worst heroes that you can bring into a boss fight. Although it might be fun just to see if you could defeat these various bosses with this kind of handicap. Although I'm not really interested in doing that for you. Maybe we'll try it again once I get her up into the 60 to 70 to 100,000 power level range. Maybe we'll try her fighting some of the bosses again. So there you go. The question that's asked constantly over the last week, is Iris good at bosses? No, she is not. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.